The FBI are kind of caught in the middle here. They're going to always be certain people on the Republican side's punchbag, regardless of the details and the information surrounding the assassination. Everybody has lots of questions, like everybody. But clearly amongst all of that are people like Chip Roy trying to score political points. Does that help us get closer to the truth? Does this help us? I suspect not.
Look at what happened.
When the shots started flying and former President Trump grabbed his right ear, it was Mr. Trump himself who stated a short time later that he had been hit by a bullet. This afternoon here on Capitol Hill, FBI Director Christopher Wray said authorities haven't determined what struck ex-President Trump.
There's injured, and then the one that hit President Trump. Does that account for, were some of these individuals hit multiple times? Where did all 8 bullets go, is I guess my question.
I don't have that in front of me. I'm happy to circle back and get that to you. It's assuming we have that information yet. As I said, I think with respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that that hit his ear. So it's conceivable. Although, as I sit here right now, I don't know whether that bullet, in addition to causing the grazing, could have also landed somewhere else. But I believe we've accounted for all of the shots in the cartridges. So let us get that.
It's my understanding that the very first one was the one that hit the president. Is that the very first shot, or is that not accurate?
I don't, as I sit here right now, I don't know the answer to that. I believe we know the answer to that. I just don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
All right, as you've been hearing, you're getting a whole lot of new scary details, including for the director of the FBI, on not only what we knew and we're seeing up to the event of the shooting and the attempted assassination on Donald Trump about 11 days ago, but the shooter himself. Chip Roy was there to take all of that in. He's not very happy now that he sort of figured it all out, because some of the things he was warning about indeed have come to pass. Congressman, very good to see you. What most stopped you in your tracks?
Yeah, Neil, great to be on. I mean, first of all, I think the thing that is pretty astounding is we have this individual who shows up there 3 times ahead of the event and then flies a drone 200 yards away. And he does that the afternoon of the event. And the Federal Bureau of Investigation can't stop this shooter. Meanwhile, they put a 75-year-old woman in prison for 2 years because she was praying at an abortion clinic. Their priorities are all out of whack. And then the FBI director lied because he said that there is no DEI going on at the FBI. But meanwhile, you have former agents who have written an entire report saying all of their standards are getting lowered. So either the FBI director lied, which I think he did, or he's accusing these former agents of lying, which he backed away from. And the final point was both Matt Gaetz and I pressed him on the question about when he has spoken to the President of the United States. And he backed away, and he tried to sort of say, yeah, he's still fine. There's no cognitive decline. So again, he's lying because the President of the United States literally just stepped down from the ticket because of his cognitive decline.
All right, Donald Trump on his Truth Social site, I'm paraphrasing it because I just don't have it in front of me right now, but he's saying that alone are grounds for Wray to resign. What do you think?
Well, look, I think that the FBI director is pretty embattled at the moment, right? You've got the President of the United States, the former president and current Republican nominee, who had an assassination attempt. The Secret Service has already resigned. You got the FBI director covering up the fact that they've got DEI watering down their standards. You got the FBI director trying to obfuscate the mental competency of the president. You got the FBI director basically acknowledging that they couldn't stop this guy who was a 20-year-old lone shooter who shows up 3 times ahead of the event and has a drone flying overhead. Why didn't they have that place locked down? Why didn't they have their own assets flying over it? What is the FBI actually doing? I mean, meanwhile, we have terrorists coming into our country. And that's what on earth does the FBI actually do besides put a 75-year-old grandmother in prison?
I do have that full comment from Donald Trump on his site. He said, I watched the congressional hearing today as Christopher Wray was asked the question whether or not he noticed the cognitive degeneration in his many conversations with crooked Joe Biden. And despite the fact that special counsel Robert Hurt said effectively that Joe Biden he is incompetent and with little memory, etc. Wray said that it is not something I observed during my interactions with him, which were uneventful and unremarkable. Goes on to say that essentially doesn't buy this. Unless that is how you want to illegally lead the raid on Mar-a-Lago, Wray has to resign, and now for lying to Congress. Now, the other issue that has come up, this is from the former president recommending that Wray go, is that others had said the same thing, Congressman, in their meetings with Donald Trump, that they noticed none of this. And I'm just wondering, that seems to bend credulity. Unless these meetings are infrequent, you would know at a short meeting or an intelligence briefing you do with the president. But certainly you would see a pattern or a trend, wouldn't you?
Well, I certainly think that if the average American can be viewing our president and see what is going on with his cognitive abilities, and that's been happening over time, and when you saw what we saw on June 27th in the debate, it is not possible, right? It is literally not possible that all of the people around the president, both his wife, Jill Biden, the White House physician, the Vice President of the United States herself, Kamala Harris, Christopher Wray, all of the people who have to brief the president on these important matters, it is not possible that they are not aware of his cognitive decline, because anybody can see it. So what you have here is a concerning cover-up, a concerning obfuscation, maybe willful blindness here, right? And I think all of these people need to answer for this. That's what the American people saw today in Christopher Wray's testimony, and I think former President Trump is right to be frustrated about it.
All right.
So we don't know. So this is the guy that
yes, that they sent yes, Beaver County sniper scene and sent the pictures out. This is him.
Okay. All right.
Rifle's right there, obviously.
Got it. So the bike in the back. Is he on that bike?
We don't know.
We don't know. So
I
we're
don't know.
just treating that as suspicious device.
Correct.
One second. I believe the sniper that seen these and sent the pictures is right inside this building. Michelle, is Greg in there? All right, so if you go to that window that's open and yell for Greg, that's the sniper that sent the original pictures and seen him come from the bike and set the book back down and then lost sight of him.
Okay.
He's the one that sent the pictures out. I don't know if you got the same ones I did.
I think I did, yeah. He's like got his glasses on and he's...
So we had the picture of that.
I got that.
Okay, and then this is his bike with the stuff. And our sniper seen him walking away from that, I believe.
Okay.
But he would be right inside that window. He's the one that physically seen this, sent the pictures, and called it out.
Okay, so, and we have somebody detained, correct?
That I don't know.
People detained on this side. Our guy that was just up here told me that there's a guy detained. He's the owner of the bike, and I said, no, that's the owner of the bike.
Yeah, basically, when I got
We've been up here, so we wouldn't know that information.
we just hauled ass. We got over here.
Got it.
We hopped up over
Yeah, that's no problem. Is that all your stuff?
That was one of our
Yeah, so someone came up looking to treat him and this connected.
Yes.
Copy. Gas is off to the building, just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah,
they do. I talked to the guy. They were those people detained were filming.
American Water was notified. They authorized.
Maybe they were involved. Maybe they weren't.
Will start somebody.
Other than that, I haven't heard anybody.
Well, I think it's. The guys that saw them filming were like, oh, they were filming us, and then filming the guy up on the roof, and then filming us, and then when shots started firing, they like tried to run away. It was like, isn't that what everybody would do that has a phone? I'm not saying they weren't involved. But you know what I mean? Like that.
It's up in the air right now, right?
Right. So I got no problem detaining them. But again, I'm just trying to detain those guys, find out what they know, who they are, whatever. I'm trying to get clear information to relay back to DC.
Control to the water tower.
We have one shooter deceased. I think we have 3 victims in the crowd. Is that you guys hearing that too?
That I'm not sure.
So I heard 1 deceased, 2 life flighted.
I know 2 helicopters are taken off.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know how many victims.
3 are deceased.
We have access to a drone. What is this water tower?
Any LE?
I will try to confirm.
In the van. Did he survive? Copy.
FBI Chief Chris Wray is currently giving information, answering questions to a Senate House committee. Jerry Nadler and Jim Jordan are leading that. A couple of bits which I will share with you. Fascinating. Turns out Crooks had a drone and explosives. His phone was also encrypted. This is just, as far as I'm concerned, there is a lot more to all of this than at the moment you, me, and most of the people are aware of.
So, we have recovered a drone that the shooter appears to have used. It's being exploited and analyzed by the FBI lab. The drone was recovered in his vehicle. So at the time of the shooting, the drone was in his vehicle with the controller. In addition, our investigation has uncovered.
Do you know what time of day he flew it, and if he flew it on the day of the shot?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So in addition, it appears that around 3:50 p.m., 4 o'clock in that window on the day of the shooting, that the shooter was flying the drone around the area
2
for
hours.
about 11 minutes. I want to be clear, but when I say the area, not over the stage and that part of the area itself, but I would say about 200 yards, give or take, away from that. We think, but we do not know. So again, this is one of these things that's qualified because of our ongoing review, that he was live streaming, viewing the footage from that, again, about 11 minutes and around the 3:50, 4 o'clock p.m. range.
2 hours before, he's flying a drone in the vicinity of the route.
About 200 yards away. Yes.
200 yards. Okay, that's important information. What about the bombs that we've heard about in the shooter's car?
So again, the FBI lab is exploiting those explosive devices. Yep. There were we've recovered 3 devices, 2 in his vehicle and 1 back in his residence.
Are these what you would call, your experts would call, sophisticated operations, or this? I don't know. That's what I've been told by people who have some understanding of this area.
Yeah, I think it's we've seen more sophisticated and less. I would say these are relatively, again, keyword relatively, crude devices themselves, but they did have the ability to be detonated remotely. And so to that point, in addition to the 2 devices that we recovered out of his vehicle, there were receivers for those 2 explosive devices with the devices. And then on the shooter himself, when he was killed by law enforcement, he had a transmitter with him. Now, I do want to add one important point here, is at the moment, it looks to us, again, ongoing review, and I can't say that too many times. At a moment, it looks like, because of the on-off position on the receivers, that if he had tried to detonate those devices from the roof, it would not have worked. But that doesn't mean the explosives weren't dangerous.
And I'm sure we're going to get into all these subjects a little bit later as well. Tell us what you can about the encrypted platforms we've heard about.
So one of the things that we're drilling into hard with the shooter, in an effort to try to learn more about his state of mind, his motive, his ideology, his context, everything else, is to look at all of his devices, any social media accounts he had, et cetera. And one of the things we've learned in finally getting into his phone, which was also a significant technical challenge from an encryption perspective, but in addition, once we got on the phone, it turned out he was using some encrypted messaging application.
And again, the same question relative to the bombs. Was this pretty sophisticated, or is this is the kind of the norm you see with folks like, similar situation? How would you describe
on this subject, I would say this has unfortunately now become very commonplace, and it's a real challenge for not just the FBI, but state and local law enforcement all over the state.
Tell me exactly